brother. I gotta record this. I'm recording in progress, baby.
Uh-oh.
What's going on, Mick Collins?
So I'm in the basement. You're in the attic. I'm in the basement.
The same house?
No.
Mick? Oh no. Oh no, I thought you were in my basement.
I'm a few miles away from you.
It looks different. You're down in the DMV, right? Not the Department of Motor Vehicles, though.
Right. Standing in line.
Good one. Shout out to all the folks at the DMV, man. You know, listen, probably a job I should have took back in the day. I could be retired at this point if I took a job at the DMV, you know, benefits, a pension, maybe all that type of stuff. I don't know. I
move real slow. Take your time.
You know, I feel bad for those folks that work at the DMV because it's probably a tough gig, man. You know, nobody's ever happy when you go there. They're cranky.
A lot of grief. Stuff's changing year after year, different laws and regulations. They got to keep up with that.
Tumbleweeds, I think. I think you go in those places as tumbleweeds. It's like, anyway, the DMV is different DMV. All right, listen, let's get to it. Your boy, the nonprofit sector connector, my boy, Mick Collins. What the heck, man? We've been talking about this. We're on, we're recording, we're live. I got monitors all over the place, man. I'm fired up. You got a Yankee Cup. So since you got a Yankee Cup, I brought out my man, Jose Reyes. What's up? We used to call him Joe. What's up, Joe? Number 7. God, I used to love watching that kid run around the field, man. Run around the bases like crazy. Back in the day, man. We're old, Mick. We're a little old, man.
You know? Of course, but here's looking for a Subway Series again.
Someday it would be nice. I mean, someday. Listen, cheers, by the way. Let's go Yankees. Let's go Mets. Let's go Giants right now, and maybe let's go Jets. So let's dive into this. I know you don't hail from where you are now. You don't hail from New York, but for some reason you're a Yankee fan. Let's start there. I mean, I'm gonna say Cleveland, Chicago, Northern California, but your legal name is Mick. It's not Michael. It's not Mickey.
It's actually Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Man. What do you mean it's Mickey Mantle?
That's my legal name.
Now I don't know if you're playing with me.
No.
Where's the Collins come from?
That's my last name.
So hold on, go back a second. So your first name is Mick. Your middle initial.
I was named after Mickey Mantle.
Right. Okay.
So obviously, Dad was a huge Yankee fan. So I started playing sandlot ball. Yeah. Hey, I'm Mickey Mantle.
But you don't even know who Mickey Mantle is at the time?
I mean, kind of.
So wait, so your first name is Mickey, and your middle name is Mantle, Mickey Mantle Collins.
Yes, sir.
I did not know that. I knew that was in the name. I thought your dad named you after Mickey because named you Mick after the Mick, that kind of thing.
It was Mickey Lolich?
No, I thought it was like Mick Collins. Like I didn't know it was Mickey Mantle Collins. I thought he just threw the name. We never even talked about that part. This is not why we're here to talk today. Everybody, by the way, this show is called In Focus Nonprofit Show, and we are way out of focus already.
Way out of focus.
I did not know all that. So why was your dad a New York guy? Did he obviously Yankees talk about that?
He worked in Tampa, Florida in the late 40s, early 50s as a youngster. And so he would sometimes cut out of work, go to spring training games. The Yankees trained in Tampa then. So he saw, like Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Yogi, Whitey, and he just became a fan.
That's awesome. I mean, you ever think like that era of baseball? I mean, what that had to be like, man. You go back and watch the movie 61 and you see these things. It's funny too, because like having my own children, like it's interesting to watch these kids, especially my oldest son, how he watches baseball, and they don't root for necessarily the front of the jersey only. They root for the back of the jersey, which is like, look, that's a product of a lot of different things, and people got players bounce around, they move into different markets and stuff like that. But like when I see my kid walking around with a Mike Trout jersey and a Manny Machado jersey, I go, they're playing in Queens? Is that are they on the Mets now? And it's not like it was. And I think back in the day, certainly wasn't like that. It was you rooted for the laundry, as they say, Mick, right? Right,
exactly. So yeah, it's kind of like I remember in the 90s, the Yankee Red Sox rivalry was heating up again, and you see Nomar, talking with Jeter before and after games, and they're shaking hands and they're laughing and stuff. It's like, wait a second, you guys are supposed to hate each other. But with player movement, the guy that you're playing against today, you might be his teammate next year. So, and what it boils down to is between the lines, it's just a game.
and I think, well, I think some of the people in the stands don't realize that, but the guys on the field do. That's my buddy. I might be having dinner with that guy. I mean, there's a story, and maybe you and I have talked about this, and then we'll get into, what you do and really what you do for nonprofits. But
We can talk about baseball the whole time.
we totally could, but we'll run out of time. I mean, to be totally honest with you, we make up how much time we want this show to be. I mean, we could be here at 3:30 this afternoon still talking. Will anybody be listening? I guess that's another conversation. But like, you've heard that story, and I might not be able to tell it completely, but you're going to remember the era. You're going to remember that week and a half when it happened. But when the Yankees were up 3-0 in that series, right? And they didn't. I'm not doing this to give you a hard time. I'm doing it because the story about it though is, weren't they didn't fans saw them hanging out in the bar with the Red Sox or something like that, like laughing?
Oh, I don't know.
Yucking. Yeah, I'd heard this. They're yucking it up with these guys, while the Sox were coming back in that series. So it's just interesting to go. It is just a game in between the lines, and then when they step off the field, they're men, and they just, are friends.
That said, there were individuals in that era that just genuinely didn't like each other. And I don't know why, but it kind of always comes back to A-Rod. Like Veritek did not like A-Rod. A lot of people didn't like A-Rod.
The lightning rod.
What are you going to do?
Mick, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
I don't know. What are we going to do? Let's tell me about you, man. Tell me about your background. Tell me about growing up. And then let's get to the story of how you end up with this company, Pay It Forward Processing, processing with a purpose, and the foundation, Every Swipe Benefits Charity, and the big check behind your back there that, that we can see on Facebook here. Take us through, the Mickey Mantle Collins story.
The whole story?
I mean, we only got 2 hours here. So
we got 2 hours. Okay. So I'm going to do the highlights. And growing up in Cleveland, we moved to Chicago for my wife's job. And at the time, I was doing marketing and running a telemarketing room for a home improvement company, and managing the leads, and it was in-home sales. So all that. And the fact was, that company, it wasn't like a retirement company, right? That was a stepping stone. So yeah, we can move, we can go to Chicago. And the idea was, it's a toe in the water for eventually moving to California, where my wife's originally from. So we get to Chicago, I got to find a job. After about 2 months, I'm going stir crazy. I land with Aflac, get a life and health insurance license, and then picked up some other products, Blue Cross Blue Shield, some other life products, and then kind of snowballed from there into including Medicare supplements and such. So then, like 6 months into it, she's not a real big fan of Chicago. The commute and the winter and the job really wasn't what they told her it would be. So she says, hey, I'm at the end of this lease, I'm moving to California. And the company said, we're buying a company in California now. We'll get you transferred there. So I'm like, great, where is it? Grass Valley. And I go, where is Grass Valley? And it turns out Grass Valley is about an hour outside of Sacramento. So it was a nice compromise to be kind of near a city, but not live in it. Yeah. So we make the move out there. I start up again with the insurance. And, Tommy, you know this as well as anybody. With that kind of sale, you have to have trust, and you have to know people. And the people that are buying from you have to know you and trust you. So it takes some time to build that trust in a community. So I started doing that. I joined a networking group, and I meet a guy who was with Pay It Forward nearly from the beginning. And we start to get friendly, and then he starts the recruiting. Hey, how's business? Come sell for me. Come sell for me. And finally I said, let's talk, because I quite frankly wasn't selling insurance. And so knew nothing about the industry. He sat down, gave me a little PowerPoint. And I said, you know what? I'm in. I want to do it. And I didn't want to be the guy. Remember that show? I think it was Green Acres, the guy with the truck that had everything.
You didn't want to have multiple business cards in your pocket.
I'm not going to come into your business and say, Tommy, I have this great insurance product, and you say, no, I'm good. Oh, how about your credit card processing? Hey, I've got hardware out here I could sell you, In fact,
what do you want? I'll go buy it and then bring it back and sell it to you.
Right. And my mindset was that at the time, this was just after Obamacare was implemented, and people were saying, I don't want to do anything till we figure out what this is. And so your business takes credit cards. That's something that you have to do. Let's see if we can do it better. to me, it was an easier approach. So I just jumped in feet first. And the company wasn't Pay It Forward at that point. The company's name was Cardfinity, right? Cute little name.
Yeah.
And there was no give back. It was just straight credit card processing. So I did that for 6 months. And then I get word, hey, we're changing the name of the company to Pay It Forward and we're donating to charity. And I, oh, wait, wow. What? And yeah, I'm like, I don't know how that works. I met Renee, who's the founder of the company. She kind of explained what she's doing. And I felt it was a game changer. And it turns out it was. So that was 10 years ago.
So, so let me stop you for a sec. So yeah, because what a game changer, because, you know, merchant processing, it's a large industry. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the industry. And I'm going to be the one to say this. You don't have to back me up on it, but I think at times it's not the most transparent industry, at least on the street level. I feel, you know, Main Street, where small business owners who may not be as educated, often at times, whether they be for-profit or non-for-profit counterparts, sometimes people aren't treated the best, and sometimes they don't always have a real keen understanding or awareness what they're actually getting.
Right, 100%, Tommy. I could have said that better, but you did really well. So fact of the matter is, especially a small business, a mom and pop, you know, they've got their hands and eyes on so many things in their business. This is just like one thing, and it's like, let's get this in place. We don't have to manage it, and they don't read their statements. And even if they did open them, they're probably not going to know what it's saying anyway. And they're saying, hey, this is something I have to do for my business. So it works. That's all that matters, right? Until the machine breaks, something happens, they're okay. And they're not aware of options, and they're not aware of things they should look out for before they sign an agreement.
So that's kind of sets the stage of what this is. A necessary situation. It's a part of people's business. It's something they need. And then, you know, you're in the business for 6 months and you have this company that says, well, we're going to do this differently now. So let's talk about that. What are they doing differently? Because I don't know that if I meet Mick Collins 2.5 years ago, whatever it's been, and you're talking about, we sell merchant processing, and, you know, I can get you a little bit lower than interchange, or I can, you know, shave some fees here or make it. I've heard that story, you know, like a lot. Like only for like, I sold payroll 20 years ago when I started at ADP, which is a weird thing to say, but I ran into a lot of merchant processing guys.
Yeah.
To say that is like, well, a lot of what happened there is when I first heard you talk about this, it was a refreshing conversation to have. And I go, oh, so they're really focused on the nonprofit sector, and they have this service called merchant processing. Talk to me about that.
So let me back up real quick. Renee started the company because her friends in business were being taken advantage of by processors. She kept hearing complaints about those things that you mentioned, things like contracts. I'm stuck in a contract. Oh, they want me to pay $500 to cancel. They raise my rates when I even know it, right? And I have a choice. I call and I'm on hold for an hour and a half, you know, that sort of thing. So she thought the solution was start a company without those things. So the first 6 months, I had a bit of a differentiator in saying, hey, we're all about honesty and transparency, yada, 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 fair pricing, great support. A little bit of a differentiator. And the one thing I could do at that point was in Grass Valley say, hey, I'm local, you get my cell number, right? And if you're going to promise that, you got to deliver it, right? So I do that. Now the nonprofit thing happens and, oh, what are we doing? Everything else stays the same, with the exception, we're now going to guarantee to match or reduce rates for a business. So you won't pay more to help us give back, because what we're doing is donating a portion of our net proceeds to charity. Well, what charity do you ask? That's a great question, because it could be just anybody, right?
Right.
Nah, Renee wants to make an impact. So she wants to build a working relationship with a nonprofit. So my next step is I have to engage with local nonprofits to get them on board this fundraising platform. Okay.
So a couple of things I want to talk about. I wrote down some things. I wrote down red flags because I want you to talk about red flags, kind of like a top 5 things to be concerned about if I'm going to get merchant processing or things I need to be aware of. We'll talk about that. But give me the mechanics a little bit more about, speaking of mechanics, you told me we want to talk about mechanics. It's in my notes. But I got to shout out a couple of people. I see Pete Fertig checking in, Matthew Hagen checking in. So thank you for checking in on Facebook. If anybody has questions, just give it to us on Facebook. Mick, we're actually streaming on Tommy DeMisa, not Philanthropy and Phocus, because just sometimes life changes right in the fly, while it's going on, right? Just happens. Yeah. So
can't catch it live. We'll get them the recording.
Yeah, we'll get them a recording, but it's out there on there's more people paying attention to me, I think, at this point than Philanthropy and Phocus. So we got we picked the right one. So tell me about like what you were just talking about, engaging with the nonprofits. I know a bit about that. Do you know why, Mick Collins? Because I'm the nonprofit sector connector kid. So that's the the one and only. So what does that mean, getting involved in the community? First of all, let's give a shout out to a couple people. I don't ever meet you if I don't meet Machen McDonald. I don't meet Machen McDonald if I don't know Michael Goldberg. Shout out to TNG. Shout out to the networking group. Shout out to that part of our families right there. What are you showing me? He's grabbing something. Oh, yeah. Okay. Give a shout.
Do that earlier. I tried to set it up on the bookshelf, but shout out to Michael and Machen.
Michael Goldberg, Knockout Networking, Machen McDonald, Pro Brilliance Strategies, Pro Brilliance Coaching. Managing the time. Read that to me, because
managing the time of your life.
Managing the time of your life.
Machen is the truth. He does provoke your brilliance.
I love Machen, man.
Love that guy.
Love hanging out with that guy. I mean, he's a stoic walking amongst us, man. Champion, really is. Love talking to him about Joe Dispenza and just really visualization and really cool stuff. But that's how kind of you got connected to some of the community up there in Grass Valley too, as you met Machen. Bright Futures for Youth.
Yeah. So, I mean, go back to like Michael's the knockout networker, right? That's how I got started. It's, hey, I'm in a networking group, a BNI, and hey, folks, I'm looking for an introduction to a local nonprofit that you have a connection with. So I get a couple introductions. This is what we're doing. And what we're asking you to do as the nonprofit is introduce us to businesses that support you. If we can fit their business and save them money, then their account is going to generate a donation back to your charity. Okay, pretty simple. I get responses like, I'm not selling your services. I'm not unleashing a salesman on my donor list, things like that. And I just don't have the bandwidth. Okay, great. And I didn't know much about the nonprofit industry sector before this. So I'll tell you a story about what I learned about nonprofits, right? Yeah. It's not that they don't want to make money. The nonprofit thing, the 501c is a tax designation, right? So I get an introduction to a man who's on the board of this nonprofit in Grass Valley. He's been involved with the organization for years. His name is Mike Bratton. If he's listening in, if he eventually sees that, hi, Mike. And Mike thought this was told me afterwards, he thought this was going to be a sales pitch, and he said it wasn't. So he introduces me to the executive director, Joy Porter, who is a client of mine now. So thank you, Joy. Her response about hearing about this, hey, we're going to donate money to your organization, yada, yada, yada. She says, I don't want to hear about it.
Why?
I didn't hear about that.
Why didn't you want to hear about it?
How much can you save me?
Hold on. Okay, cool. So you're there to say to her, look, we got this really cool situation. It's give back. We want to partner with you and whatever. Let's connect with your board members. This guy's an attorney. This woman's a pediatrician in town. They start using us for processing. We as an organization, as a business, are going to roll back money to you. She goes, hold on a second. I'm a prospect, right? Like I need the services, right? Okay. Right. So tell me about that.
So that was kind of, to me, an eye opener. And the eye-opening part was that nonprofits get approached by fundraisers a lot. And some of them aren't totally honest or transparent. It's, hey, you do this fundraiser, you're going to do 80% of the work, you get 20% of the money. And we're going to walk away over here. All right. So that kind of thing happens. And I learned that. So we go to the business side. We do a comparison, apples to apples, and we come back, we're going to save you 18%. And she's, wow, and again, the explanation is We're a nonprofit. We rely on donations. We rely on the community. We don't get government grants. We don't get funding. So, this is a big help, saving 18% on a service that we're going to consistently use as long as we exist.
Hold on. So now this is going to sound, I was going to make this like a silly question, but I decided halfway as I started it, I'm not. They're not losing any level of service. It's not a discounted, it's like meaning a lower service level.
Right.
I mean,
it's not like no frills.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. Right. So as a matter of fact, they kept the solution they had in place, just with a different processor, being us, and spending less money.
So the look and feel, the user experience.
Yeah. Turnkey.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All we did was change the route their money took to get back to them, and got more of it to them.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. So, what does it look like? Because I said it up front, and I have, again, I don't beat up on my industry. I'm not going to, I guess I am going to beat up a little on your industry. In my experience,
it's earned.
Well, again, it's earned because look, I'm sure there are, shout out to my team, Vanguard Benefits. That is our agency. We're an employee benefits firm. I don't talk about it enough, but I will have my business partner, Ed Probst, on this show in 2 weeks from today, on the 13th of January, the Phocus nonprofit show. But, I'm sure there are unscrupulous employee benefits brokers as well, and they probably give our, a black eye to our industry at certain times. But I feel in the merchant processing industry, it's a lot of churn and burn, young people getting in that business as salespeople. I've heard horror stories about people getting paid, meaning the sales reps. And then I've heard, people, I agreed to one price and I get my first invoice and that's not what it says, like all that kind of stuff. So talk to me about, like, if I'm a prospect, or if I'm like looking, if I'm a CFO of a nonprofit organization that raises $500,000, $1 million, $1.5 million, whatever, or $40,000 a year in credit card, through donations, through credit cards. What should I be looking out for, Mick? What are some of the things that, I as a CFO, or me as an executive director of a tiny organization that helps cats and dogs, and we only raise $25,000 a year? What am I looking out for?
Well, number one, I think is a contract, especially if you're doing more volume. The processor wants to lock you up. So a contract is pretty standard. We don't do contracts, but you get locked in, and then what happens is they auto renew. And then there are terms that you're agreeing to when you auto renew, and you're auto renewing by just blinking, right? Hey, if I don't send in this form to cancel, it's going to auto renew, and I've accepted the new terms, right? So those kind of things can hamstring you, not only with rates, but different things. And gosh, I could tell you so many horror stories. A business was in a contract, and I call them and ask what you got to do to cancel. 90-day notice and a 30-day notice.
What do you mean? One or the other, or
both. Yes.
Hold on. I want a divorce.
Bank.
I want a divorce. No. I really want a divorce.
No. If you really want a divorce, you got to tell me 90 days before the end, and then 30 days before the end. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, because again, and so just to go back for a second, you're saying paid for you don't require a contract?
We've never, not from day one.
That's something to think about, folks. I want to make a quick commercial while we're doing this, because one of our companies, one of our projects, Pals Media Group, which is, my partner, Valerie Heffron, and I have Pals Media Group, and we're a client. And, Mick goes above and beyond, and we're very happy with the service. So no better way to make a commercial than say we're a client, I'm not just the president, I'm also a hair club member, but I'm not. But I will tell you, Mick, I look sometimes at the top of my head and I see less hair than was there the day before. And it does start. Yeah, I know. I see it. I wasn't going to say nothing. Just look this way. Nobody can see. That's why I grow so much hair on my face. If I put more hair on my face, I think they'll be distracted and they won't.
Draws attention away.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know what I was going to say. I was saying Pals Media Group. I was talking about a hair club president. All right. So what else? What else should we be looking out for? I don't want to get too deep in the weeds. I promised in the video, but give me a little interchange, drop a little knowledge on them for me, Mick. A little knowledge.
A little bit. Something that every business can do is, first of all, take a good hard look annually at your processing. All right. What you can do on a month-to-month basis is take the amount you pay your processor, divide it into the amount you process that month, and it gives you an overall percentage rate. If that rate is staying steady, you're at least know that they're not raising the rates on you, right? Or doing anything funky. They might be overpricing you, but they're keeping it at that level. If that starts to spike, then yeah, look, and again, more stories. A business I pursued in Grass Valley, we initially sat down and talked and said, look, we can save you about $65 a month, but you have to buy a new machine, about $300. And she said, it doesn't really make sense for me right now, right? No problem. Walk away, consider me a resource. Let me know if you have any questions. I keep patronizing the business, stop in. Hi, how you doing? How's things going? Finally, she says, you know, I've had time to look at stuff more and I think they raised my rate. Can you look again? Sure. She hands me a statement. Within 5 seconds, they almost doubled what they were charging her. And I said, well, now we can save you about $130 a month. And she's let's get started.
I buy a $300 machine, you know, on month. By the time we get to month 3, I'm already I'm saving money.
Right. So pay it forward's approach and the concept is about the business having the freedom, right? To listen, if I'm not being treated honestly and fairly, I can move away, right? So why should I have to pay to cancel a service, right? Why should I be locked into a contract for 3 or 4 years when it doesn't benefit me? It only benefits the processor.
But you and Renee and the team, you've turned the industry on its ear, in my opinion, because if everybody else is locking them in contracts and you're not, I mean,
let me be clear. Please. Let me be clear, because I know we're not the only company that doesn't do contracts, right? There are some good people out there that are doing things right for businesses. All right. We're the only one doing the ongoing donation part. But the fact that the majority of processors and even some of the big banks have this image of not playing fair with business owners is problematic. So the fact that I can say things like that and wow, that's refreshing, you know,
I love it. I love it. And again, like, and I mean this with all due respect, but this whole program, this show, this series is where I'm bringing the best people, the people I know, love, and trust, and putting them in front of, you know, my world, the nonprofit world, you know, the people that I'm connected to. So listen, if you're a leader of a nonprofit organization, you know, Mick, you got to be careful not to vouch for the wrong guy. You know what I mean? But I'm vouching for this guy. But that's what this is. And folks that come on this show are people that are in my inner circle, that are people that I like I say, I know, love, and trust these folks. So, you know, when you speak to them, you know, you got the Tommy D stamp of approval. And my friends who are coming on the show realize that, like, Tommy D's going to hear about this if it doesn't go so good. So, right. And that's not a Tommy D. We're more in any sort of referral relationship, Mick. We're more on our game than ever, right? Because someone put us in here. Somebody, we in the back of our mind, we're hearing that person going, do the right thing, this is my people, I'm hooking you up, right? You know what I mean?
Tommy, let me say this, because sometimes you get a referral, I talk to this business, hey, it sounds great, and then on the back end of it, it's not the way they pictured it, and they're not entirely happy. All right. Now, if we can't make them happy, the point is they have the freedom to say bye.
Right. You leave. Yeah. So with no contracting, that's a game changer.
Right. No contract. They're not going to pay anything. It's a form to sign. You're done.
Yeah, but that also, you know what I'm reading between the lines, and what it says to me is, gang, listen, let me just say what I'm thinking, because I just be direct. You're less likely to get caught up and jammed up on something that you didn't expect, because you're just going to terminate them anyway. If they don't like what you like, if it's different. Yeah. If you told me red and it shows up blue, I go, well, all right, well, I guess you didn't get it. I wanted red, so we're done, right? Like that sort of.
That's one of the first lessons when I got involved with this, even before the nonprofit part, was that, hey, they're not in a contract. They can cancel at any time. I better be upfront and honest with these people. No surprises, right?
Yeah. No, listen, I get it. A couple of things I know you want to connect with, you want to get out there, and it's funny how time goes, especially when you're talking to somebody you enjoy talking to, which I do, my friend. It's 1:30. We've been a half hour at this. auto mechanics, and QuickBooks. I want you to hit upon those, and whatever else you have your finger up, it means you want to tell me other stuff. So hit me.
One thing. Yeah. So auto mechanics, we have some special pricing for them. We're doing some innovative things that we can offer auto mechanics specifically, where we can get them close to or under 2% overall. Okay. And that's without surcharging. That's without cash discount. That's straight pricing, and a free machine. And when I say free machine,
the guy who does all my work on my cars is about 300 yards from the attic. So his name is Chris, and I got to hook you up with him. So
okay, great. And again, if turns out they don't like it or we don't get them to 2%, I lied. You can cancel us. You can fire us at any time. The second thing that we're really focused on is, I don't know if I should use the name, but folks that invoice through some accounting software, right?
I just use the name. Like I thought I said.
Right. Rhymes with Mick Phocus.
It's like it's the opposite of slow periodicals. Is that close?
So yeah, it's QuickBooks. And it's accounting software like Xero with an X, right? And specifically QuickBooks, if they're invoicing through QuickBooks, they're probably paying 3 to 5%. All right. I know we can save them on the processing, and we can keep those invoices in QuickBooks so there's no extra steps. And maybe the best part, the solution that we provide is agnostic. So again, 2, 3, 6 months down the road, they don't like me, they can keep that solution, process with somebody else, but I can guarantee they'll like me.
No, of course they are. You kidding me? How can they not like you? They might not like the company, but they're gonna love you.
Me anytime, right?
I mean, look, the baseball fans, you know, the ones who root for the Mets might not like you as much, but like I understand. Look, do you have any rings, like World Series rings, that you could show the folks, since we're talking about this baseball thing? I don't know. Do you have some?
Gee, Tommy, I actually do.
Oh, wow. I don't see anyone from from 86. They're not 86, or the one from 60.
These are all Yankees.
Oh, those are Yankees. Oh, I didn't.
It's a different type of NY there, Tommy.
Yeah. I know. Let's go Mets, baby.
You guys that know how to win the World Series.
Yeah, why do I open this can of worms? All right. So we know about
it.
We know about mechanics. We know some things to look out for, right? So here's what I want to ask you, Mick. What can you do for the folks that are listening for me, you know, I consultation wise, I mean, look at your invoice, look at your statement, talk to me about that. Cause I want people to, and I'll put this on Facebook, kind of a call to action. I'll put on Facebook where people can get you, because we're doing this live on Facebook, folks. You're going to find this on other places later on, but for now it'll be on Facebook. So go ahead, Mick, tell them what you're
First, let me tell you that I can work in all 50 states. I can help the businesses in all 50 states and Canada. We can work with nearly all industries, including cannabis. The exceptions that I'll list now are adult entertainment and gambling. There are a couple of reasons for that. And if you really want to know, contact me and I'll let you know. Yeah. But besides that, what I offer is an honest conversation about this part of your business. Right? Shed a light on it. No BS, no obligations. I boil it down to 2 questions, Tommy. Can we fit your business? Right? And can we save you money? And if those answers are yes, then we can talk about what the next steps might be.
Can we fit your business, and can we save you money? What is it? Can you fit your business? What does that mean to you? So
you might be using a specific type of software. And that software has a revenue agreement with the processor, so they only allow that one processor to integrate. Unless you want to process on the side, it's not the ideal fit, right? You're a restaurant or bar and you have a POS system, and we can't fit with that system. Same reasons. And I'll give you a great example. Restaurants using a software system, Toast.
Yeah, I know it.
They have proprietary processing.
Right. It's like built in. It's in there. It is what it is.
The last thing I can promise is, if we can't fit your business, I'm going to give you a box of Cracker Jacks.
Wait a minute. So I don't understand here. First of all, let's talk about the Cracker Jack box. That's a bunch of malarkey. Okay. It's a bunch of shenanigans and malarkey. And I'll tell you why. Because there used to be a pretty cool toy in there. Now it's nonsense. It's like a sticker. Or it's like, and first of all, that box is nonsense too. Look, I love Cracker Jack. I really do. I'm mad at them because I'm mad at inflation, or there's this kind of inflation where they don't actually, it doesn't cost more. They just like shrink the size of the package. I forget what it's
Right.
called. I would regularly, there's a guy that watches all of my shows, and I would ask him that question out into the ether, and he would answer that question. But he's here right now.
Here.
So he can't.
Hold on, let me look that up.
Gang, if you've ever showed up for Philanthropy and Focus, if you ever showed up for the Professionals and Animal Lovers show, there's this guy that I'm talking to all the time. And I'm like, Mick, what about that? And he's not really there, but he's there in the world and he gets the answers for me. But Mick, there's this thing where like those Cracker Jack boxes are like getting smaller. There's nothing in it. And I will tell you, the peanuts must be costing a lot of money because it used to be, you get like 2 peanuts, like the,
Right.
the flavoring on
fire, buddy.
Yeah, listen, I'm telling you, I'm not upset with you, Mr. Cracker and Mr. Jack. I'm just disappointed with you. But you're saying that anybody who you cannot help out gets a box of Cracker Jacks?
No, anybody I can help out.
Anybody who can.
These things cost money, Tommy.
Oh my God. I'm dizzy. Go ahead. What else you want to tell me?
The last thing I'll tell you is that if they do end up working with us, we have an account setup fee that I'll reimburse the business owner for.
Oh, well, thank you. That's a part.
That'll be a free cost to them. It covers administrative costs of that initial onboarding. But I'll take care of that for them.
All right, Mick. So now we get to the questions that I like to ask at the end of the show. I say I like to ask, and we've done this show one time. Shout out to my buddy, my pal, Christine Deska, who was on the show with me 2 weeks ago. This is a bi-weekly show, gang. It's called the In Focus Nonprofit Show, and it's really bringing you leaders in industry that can show you how you might do things. Again, a nonprofit is a business. It is just a tax filing status, right? It's just 501c3 is a tax filing situation. It is still a business. You still have payroll and employee benefits and insurance for your buildings and things like that. And you certainly have merchant processing. Mick, here's the question. I was going to ask you best rapper of all time. And you know what? Since I did, I will. Who is it?
At my money, it's Slim Shady.
It is.
Marshall Mathers. Eminem.
Yeah, I know you love him. And he definitely, I remember when the first album came out, it was like 2000, 99, 2000, something like that. I saw him live. I think we saw him at Roseland Ballroom in New York City. And it was, these are the results of 1,000 electric volts. And the place went bananas. And we were young, man. I'm talking like you remember that first album, but we were like, again, it's when he come out, 99, 2000, something like that.
Right. 98, 99. Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to be 45 next week. So this was, I was like 21, 22 years old. And we had this, I don't want to get too much into the story, but we're at this party time at the concert. And with a buddy of mine who was like a big old dude and not sort of like buttoned up and not exactly like who you think would be at an Eminem show. And I was not dressed like this, certainly not, at 22 at an Eminem show. I did not look like the shirt and tie guy. But our friend, like, people thought he was a cop the whole time because he was a giant dude. He was like, and he was like kind of like buttoned up, and they were like,
I've been there.
They're like, yo, is that guy a cop? I'm like, no, he's cool, man. So anyway, that I remember that so vividly, being at that show and to see him, just recently, some of the things Eminem's doing. I mean, I can't believe he was a kid. Now he's like us, like he's an old man because we all got older. So, all right. So I wanted to talk that because I know you're big into the hip hop, especially Eminem. Maybe we'll do another show about that. I want to know, here's the thing. This is kind of the hot seat question, So you have this opportunity and somebody comes to you and says, Mick, look, I got this portfolio of nonprofit organizations and I have a dozen different ones, and they each need a new leader. And we're going to pay you what you need to make, and you're now the executive director of the nonprofit organization. I'm not going to tell you what they do. I'm not going to tell you their missions. I'm going to ask you, you can basically design the mission you want. What is the impact you're going to make? What is the mission? What does the nonprofit do? The one that's going to be most important to you, that you're going to, it would be, this is it. This is the legacy. This is what you finish. This is you close it out with this. You spend the next 10 years.
So before I answer the question, I told you this already, but leading up to this, I had a little anxiety, and then I tried to solve that and squash that anxiety by saying, well, I'm just talking to my friend Tommy D, my pal, right? The more I thought about it, I'm going, holy cow. I'm talking to the Tommy D, right? So, great job with your interview, relaxing me.
Till now,
It's a question, and this wasn't, we didn't plan this ahead of time, so I didn't know this was coming. As a veteran, I would have to say something in that arena, because Tommy, and you know this, we mentioned this when we were in DC November.
Yep.
November, right?
Yeah.
That to me, there should be no veteran nonprofits that exist today.
Right, because they should
be taken care of, right? That's my belief. However, they're not taken care of, so I'm thankful for these organizations that do exist. I mean, and there are a myriad of things: homeless vets, veteran suicide, PTSD. I mean, anything that helps veterans.
If you, I'm gonna just push a little further on you because I want to get into Mick. It's like there are so shout out to Pete Fertig, by the way, founder of who was a great host for Mick and I at the Bob Feller Act of Valor Awards ceremony, which was down in DC, which was just so cool, Mick. So cool to meet you in person. So
that
cool
was great.
I want to go a little deeper in that. Let's separate it out. Like, what do you think, based on your background, your skill set, where you think you can add the most value in that, like that nonprofit? Is it the homelessness? Is it PTSD? Is it?
So I think it's a combination. I think the homeless issue with veterans goes right along with PTSD, goes right along with suicide. So you get them shelter, you get them help, right? And it's not, I don't think there's one answer. I don't think, hey, you can do this, boom, boom, boom. I mean, if I knew that, I'd be doing it, right? But there are facets to it. And, you know, can you save everybody? Probably not. But I think you can help a lot more people than we're helping right now.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. It'd be absolutely impossible for me to agree with you any more than I do on this, because I'm going to say it. It's BS. I won't say any foul language, but you can read between the lines, gang. It's BS that in this country, our veterans are not taken care of. It's BS to me that our human beings are not taken care of, that there are people living on the street, eating out of trash cans. What are we doing as a society, gang? And I'm not, and I mean, as a society, like, this is supposed to be where we live, the richest nation in the world with all these resources and things like that. And I got to be honest, as I look at social media, I think a lot of things are out of whack, folks. I think we value the wrong things as a society. And if I go a little further out from just the States, if you look around this planet, people are not taken care of, and we need to make changes, whether they be veterans, people with disabilities. We need to make better choices. I'm just a guy in an attic, though, just some ideas. But I think what we need to do is be more thoughtful, be more compassionate, be more loving, and look out for people. Mick, let's leave these folks your contact information I put on Facebook. But if somebody's listening down the road, they see this on YouTube, we end up putting it somewhere else, how do they get in touch with you? And leave them with some final words, please.
You can call or text me at 216-551-0078. I do prefer text. So if I get an unknown number, I'm probably not going to answer it, but you leave me a voicemail. You can email me at mick.collins@pfprocessing.com. That's PF like PF Chang, pfprocessing.com.
And, you could always just follow the stuff I'm doing, TommyD.NYC on Instagram, TommyD.NYC on TikTok. Not really sure where I'm on TikTok anymore, but I'm on there. Facebook, obviously, Tommy Dimisa, DIMISA, and Philanthropy and Focus. Anywhere you can get focused in, check in with me. Look, we're changing the world. Where's my mug?
Where's your mug?
We're changing the world. No big deal. I don't know if that came out. How's that look? That way?
Better. There you
No
go.
big deal. Just changing the world. Shout out to my friend Darryl Rosenbaum for sending me the mug. I always like free stuff. I especially like free hoodies. But I always like gifts like that. I think it's great to do that. But something I say, no big deal, just changing the world. Mick Collins, no big deal, baby. Just changing the world. I appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate you having faith in me and coming on this show. And I will say one thing that you commented on earlier today. You talk about anxiety. You talk about nervousness. Yo, if you're not anxious and nervous, man, you ain't living. If you're not anxious and nervous, you don't care. Like one of my sons said to me, I said, how you doing? You feeling good about that thing? He goes, I'm a little nervous, Dad, but you told me. That means I care. And I said,
Right.
Winning.
It's outside of your comfort zone.
The whole thing, everything happens outside of your comfort zone, Mick Collins.
Let me tell you, Tommy, this is like the cherry on top of my year, right? Talking with you. I got to say right now, my biggest complaint is my trash bags have 4 tabs instead of the pull string. So I'm doing all right.
Yeah, man, really. First world problems, Mick Collins. Not really a big deal.
I'm doing good. No, I appreciate you having me, Tommy. I appreciate the time. You're a special person to me. And I know we're going to do great things down the road. And yeah.
Thank you, brother. You're, listen, Happy New Year. All the best to you and yours. Everybody out there, check in with Mick and I, comment on this wherever you find it. Reach out to us if you have any questions. And as I like to say all the time, Mick, thank you for being here. As I like to say all the time, listen, make it a great day. That's a choice, gang. Make it a great day. Don't have one. Freaking make one. I'll see you all later.
Thanks, Tommy.
Connections, moving good directions.
Make me sick.
Join Tommy in